Kyrsten Sinema wants you to believe that she is operating in good faith during the ongoing negotiations around the reconciliation infrastructure bill. That said, she did leave a little bit over a week ago during the negotiations to go home to Arizona for a very necessary foot doctor's appointment. You know that it's necessary because she waited at least 72 hours between it and running a marathon. So that's good. It must have been serious. And of course, as we reported at the time, she was really there for fundraisers. She was raising a bunch of money. And look, I think for a lot of people, when we're in hard times, we have been for some time, pre-pandemic and certainly exacerbated by the pandemic. We need this bill for a million different reasons. And so her choosing to not be engaged with it and instead go to Arizona to fundraise seemed like the ultimate insult. But I want to reassure you, it very much was not. Because now she's gone to Europe to fundraise, and I feel like that's worse. So I feel a little bit better about the whole Arizona thing. She's spending a week in Europe, and I would love to tell you exactly where, but like, what do you expect accountability from a United States senator? She's just off. She's eating, loving, and praying or whatever. I don't know what order, but she is finding herself, and hopefully her state will find a new senator at some point. But anyway, she took part in fundraising efforts for the DSCC. This is according to a spokesman for the Arizona Democrat, because of course she ain't talking to reporters. One of the fundraisers she's done occurred in Paris, and Sinema was also reportedly planning meetings in London. I don't know, maybe Zurich is coming up. It's basically like the plot of a Bourne movie. I don't know where she's going, but it's gonna be somewhere exciting in Europe. But anyway, Caroline, I wanted to get your view on this. Sinema sure seems to have a lot of time recently.
Yeah, I know she should be pretty busy, but who can blame anyone for going on a trip to Europe, still in a pandemic, all that good stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I could talk about just the persona of Kyrsten Sinema all day.
I want you to.
Her great because her brand of just being this like elusive, quirky, above it all lawmaker who just like isn't beholden to anyone, whatever, and all the. Recently the media coverage has changed, but for so long it was just like, she doesn't answer to anyone and that's cool. But it's like, it's so exactly. It's so offensive. Like her job, the legislation she works on every day affects people's lives. Like people's lives are literally at stake with what she works on. So this like being coy and quirky is so offensive, and there's no justification for it. I really, I have no patience for someone who is a public servant trying to make this brand for herself. I don't understand it. And I don't know if you saw, there was a photo on social media that went around recently that she was at a Bernie rally, I think in 2016 before, or maybe it was earlier than that, before she was a senator. And it's crazy. And the Daily Beast notes like she's totally unrecognizable from that sort of, not me, us feeling. And it's crazy. Like we all know that money and power changes politicians, but to see it happen so quickly, I mean, this is her first term. Like it's really shocking, and it's honestly it's a great example for everyone to see how quickly politicians can be corrupted by just like money and power. It's really, I'm not into it. But
wait, hold on, Caroline. No, you mentioned being corrupted by money and power. No. She's just quirky and she marches to the beat of her own drum. Why are you implying that there's anything else going on?
No,
we just say things like she doesn't answer to anyone. That's a fun thing to say. It's less fun when like one commentator will be like, well, shouldn't she? She's a representative after all. And it's even less fun to be like, well, actually she does answer to people. It just ain't the voters or the volunteers who got her elected. None of that's fun, Caroline. Come on, let's be fun.
Yeah, and I will say it was so fun when she just like gave her thumbs down to.
That was fun.
What was that, like expanding Medicare? It was
that was for $15 an hour minimum wage.
Right, even funnier. Yeah, I can't stop laughing. Actually,
so fun. Can I just before we're gonna move on to more about Europe and how her friends are aghast at her? Can I just briefly mention there's all these articles about how witty and clever and anachronistic she is, which is fine. If you think something she says is witty, I think that that's a little bit sad, but comedy is an individual thing. You can do that if you want. But there's also another thread that's been all over the place, which is like, oh no, leftists and progressives are realizing that like they loved her quirkiness and her Uggs and her purple hair. And now it turns out that she's not everything they thought just because she's bisexual or insert whatever quirky thing they say is quirky about her. Really fast fact check. Was there ever a time where leftists were like, I just love that she's quirky. I like the purple outfits. I like that she doesn't give an F. Who was saying that? Maybe, I mean, I'm sure at some point, if you go back when she got elected, I probably said something about like, hey, good. Openly bisexual person gets elected to the Senate. That's representation. I didn't say, and so I'm good for the next 6 years. Who was actually saying that?
Yeah, I think like right when she got elected, it was so galvanizing just because I believe she turned that seat from red to blue. And so, it was kind of like, okay, whatever, like you dress crazy, you wear funny glasses and stuff. That's great. We love you. We're just so happy right now. And then, yeah, she kind of stuck with that part of it and then maybe got confused. Maybe she thought that's why people elected her. It's hard. It's a tough job.
It's tough to read such a big room. But anyway, we gave you sort of the bare minimum details about what she's doing on this Europe trip. And normally when I do that, it's laziness. But no, in this case, it's because I don't know anything else. Her office has declined to say how long she would be abroad, what countries she would visit, how the trip was being paid for, whether she had done any additional fundraising for her own campaign. Her political team had reached out to set up those meetings in London and Paris. We found out from other people, but from her team, why would you think you get to know whether she's ever coming back? She could literally just stay there for the rest of her life. You wouldn't know. That's quirky. I just moved to Norway, Why would you get to know who's paying for what? Why would you get to know what cities she's gonna be in? Why would you think you live in like a representative democracy, you big dummy? Why would you get to know any of that stuff? You're not quirky. That's what's bad about you, audience. You're not quirky enough. But anyway, her team reassures us that she's still talking on the phone with President Biden. And I'm sure the conversations are riveting. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.